can game with you, play when we want to. I can game with you, the gamer and the noob. I can play with you, game when we want to. I can play with you, the gamer and the noob.
Welcome to the Gamer and the Noob. Hi, my name's Sam. I'm the gamer.
And I'm Steph, I'm the noob.
And we are back with another weekly episode every Monday. New episodes of The Gamer and the Noob on, well, we're hosting on Podbean, but you can find us on pretty much anywhere you can find a podcast.
Anywhere.
So, yeah, and on YouTube as well. So
and YouTube.
if you are liking it, rate it, whether that's a star or a heart, whatever you're listening on, find a way to rate it. That makes it so we can kind of be seen, have a little bit more visibility. So we would appreciate that very much if you're enjoying the podcast. But let's get right into it. We're going to start with some news. So I showed you a picture of the PlayStation 5. It was just revealed. But I'm kind of going to go through the rundown. There was an hour-long event where they just showcased a bunch of games. And this is always a big deal. Right around now is when Electronic Entertainment Expo usually is every year. I told you, like, I'll take off work for that. It's a big deal for me. It's more important than Christmas, but without any the sacrilege. It's a very important time in my life, but it was canceled because of COVID. So Sony came out with an hour-long presentation just showing all the games that come out. There's some really, really cool games. The one that I am most excited about is a full-on remake from the ground up of Demon's Souls, which was a PlayStation 3 exclusive. And I said, if that comes out, I'll buy it day one. And then they showed a trailer for it, and it was glorious. There are a bunch of other really cool games that they showed, sequels and original content. A bunch of lackluster games, too, I feel. But then, nobody's seen the PlayStation 5. We've seen the controller. So they finally revealed that at the end. And I want to get your opinion on it first, because you're probably a little less partial than I am. I'll probably have a little bit of bias because of my history with the games and the systems and stuff. So I just showed that to you while we were eating dinner. So I want to see kind of what you thought of it.
I think it looks super cool. It looks like the tower of an evil villain. Like, it looks like an evil villain's lair. I'm a Scorpio, so I'm into that. I think it's cool.
You're into evilness?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, cool.
I mean, no, but it just looks super cool.
So what do you like about it?
It just looks... I like all the angles. I like the color contrast. I like the way the tower is set up. I don't know. I like it.
So you're familiar with what the older PlayStations look like, right?
Yeah.
Which are essentially just black boxes.
Yes.
Sometimes there's some curviness to it. So yeah, this is a pretty big departure for the PlayStation. The original was like a gray box, and then all the rest have been black boxes. So they went with the white and black aesthetic. We're assuming it's going to be like lit with blue or something like that. In my opinion, they took what was kind of a change in design with the headset of the VR, and it very much just followed that design philosophy. The white and black. Curves, sleekness. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see that.
So I think they just took that, made it a little bit more kind of like futuristic or modern, or however you want to say it. It really looks like, because all the peripherals, I didn't show you the peripherals. So the headsets, the charging stations, the controllers, everything followed that aesthetic. It reminds me of Astrobot.
Oh, really?
Right?
I see that, yeah.
It's like they just took Astrobot as a design philosophy for creating the whole entire system.
I like it.
Yeah.
I'm into that.
Yeah, because Astrobot's awesome. They actually announced the new Astrobot game, too. So
I want to play the one that we have. And
play it. What is stopping you?
Everything else.
That's true. Life.
Life.
But no, so there's been a lot of, I guess mixed reactions on the reveal of it. I personally think it looks very cool. I made a joke, like it looks like a futuristic router or what, or modem, or what they would have deemed futuristic in 1998,
yeah.
But still, I think it's really cool. It's a really cool departure. It looks like if they made the Wii now, the Wii was, the white tower with the blue light and stuff like that. I'm very curious to see how big it actually is. I think it's probably going to be pretty large, because if you look at the picture next to the controller, it looks like it's going to be pretty good size, probably on par with the PlayStation 3, which is right there on the left, which is a pretty meaty system. But I also asked what everybody on... What are you laughing? Because I said meaty?
It's a weird way to describe an electronic thing.
It's a pretty girthy. The system's got it's pretty girthy. But I put out a poll on Twitter. I said the PlayStation 5 reveal event is over. Was it a success? Why or why not? So 56 votes came in, and 84% of the people said yes, it was a great success. 16% said no, it was unsuccessful. So there's a few people who kind of chimed in there, and I'm just going to say what they said. So one was friend of the channel, Master Sword Music. He said, I say it was successful for people who are into those games. I will probably grab one once I see something I really want, but without the price point, it's hard to make the leap just yet. And he kind of really just hit on a point that there was no price point revealed. This is going to be coming out, no release date either. We're all assuming it's going to be out in November because that's just kind of the typical, right?
For Christmas.
Yeah, you get it out before a couple weeks before Black Friday, and that's just kind of how it's always been, except for the Switch, which was different. That came out in March, but there was no price point. They showed two models, one that's going to take a disc and one that's all digital if you don't want to have disc format, which the assumption is the all digital version will be cheaper, but no price points kind of, makes it hard to go justify because it could be expensive. The PlayStation 3 when it came out was $599. So I guess what people are thinking is that the digital one's going to be $399 and then the one with the disc is going to be $499, which would probably be on par with kind of what they're touting technically that it can do. But like I said, it's hard to make that decision without a price point. Moses Bolin on Twitter said, I think that the design of the console is nowhere near the expectations that were had, especially with such cool fan-made designs. So he's talking about the expectations, not that Sony put on us, but the expectations that the fans had, because every console cycle, there are a ton of really cool fan mock-ups, that people, sometimes they get leaked as real or, dev kits or whatever. So there were...
As what?
Development kits. So they before a system comes out, they give dev kits to the developers, so they have something to make the games with, basically. So they have it for a couple years before the system comes out.
Really?
And sometimes the development kits look similar to the system. Sometimes they don't look anything like the system. And sometimes they just tell the devs to make it all on computer and we'll give you the kit a little bit closer to when the system comes out. So it all just depends. But there's been leaks in the wild for a while about what the PS5 dev kit looked like, which is nothing like what was shown. So it's easy to get, I guess, your hopes up with a lot of things when all you have to go on is speculation. And I think that's probably what happened with a lot of people who were disappointed. Flurndip, at Flurndip Gaming, says, meh, I have a PS3 that still works. So I think he's just going to stick with that. And then Link Hawkins, I need a third option of meh. Okay, so that's 2 for meh. One who wants it, but it just depends on the price and all that kind of stuff. For me, the biggest thing was Demon Souls. There were a lot of cool games that I saw that I think would be fun to play with you. Like they look like more like Nintendo oriented stuff. So I'm really excited to get my hands on that in November, and we can kind of see what next gen gaming is all about. But
my birthday's in November.
Yeah, I know. You can get me that for your birthday.
No, that's not how I saw that playing out.
Okay, so what have you been playing?
I have been playing Animal Crossing. Mm-hmm. Because June is wedding season on Animal Crossing, and I've been kind of all about that. That's been a lot of fun, actually.
You've been playing that every day now.
Yeah.
Just for the wedding rewards and stuff.
Yeah. There's that definitely got me re-interested in it. Because before that, I had taken a couple weeks where I didn't touch it. And even my little villagers were like, hey, we were worried about you.
Yeah.
I was like, that's rude.
I had one who was just like, I was thinking about moving. Should I leave? I'm like, no.
It's not you. It's me.
Please stay.
I have been picking up Ding Dong XL a little bit. I introduced that to some friends at work, and there was definitely moments where they neglected work and they were just playing that.
That's the ultimate high score. No, give me one more game that we've talked about in the past. Did it reignite your drive to play that game again?
Yes. My high score on the solo mode is 282, and ever since I got that was 6 months ago, I haven't been able to beat that score again. Uh-huh. There's a guy at work who he said it's now his life mission to beat me. Yeah. And all I've said in response is good luck. Because I barely made that score and I haven't been back since. But yeah, that's always a game that's just enjoyable to pick up for a little bit of time,
Right.
I'm always going to enjoy that game.
So let's go back to Animal Crossing
Yeah,
because you're playing the wedding stuff, right? Mm-hmm. So what does that all entail? Because I haven't really messed with that at all. It just doesn't seem like it'd be, an interest of me.
Yeah, so you have to go to your airport, go to Harv's Island, and then there's a couple who want to take anniversary photos. And so they're asking you to help restage parts of their wedding, whether it be the ceremony or the reception. And they give you some info to go off of and like some furniture that you can use and stuff. But basically, you just have to like design the space. So she'll be like, I want it to look like the ceremony, and I want you to use these colors. And then you just decorate the space with what you have. You can still use like your personal wallpaper or flooring, which kind of gives you an incentive to buy more whenever you're not there, because like you might see something and you'll be like, oh, I can use this later, whatever. If you do a good job and you set it up well, you get heart crystals in return. The max is 15. So like if you do an okay job, she'll give you a couple. If you do a moderate job, she'll give you like 7. If you do a really good job, she'll give you something like 15.
Okay, so what are the heart crystals used for?
I don't know.
You don't know yet?
But I'm just collecting them.
Maybe at the end you can, what you've accumulated, because it runs to the month of June, right?
Correct.
You can use the heart crystals as a sort of monetary thing where you can purchase stuff, maybe?
Maybe. And I've been wondering if you make things out of them.
Oh, like star fragments?
Correct. I need to find out because I don't know why I'm working so hard for these, but I am.
If you didn't have that reward of the star crystals, would you still find enjoyment in it, in the decorating aspect of it?
I don't think I would go back as religiously as I have been, but yes.
Okay. You enjoyed it, but you probably wouldn't be doing it every day.
Partly because our wedding that we had planned did not go as planned.
Right.
So it's a little bit like I'm just filling a hole in my heart.
You get to do your wedding planning.
Yeah.
But the downfall is you have to go to Harv's Island. Because I'm not going to lie. Up until this point, which you told me that was on Harv's Island, it just seems super creepy.
For sure. I had no intentions of ever going to Harv's Island.
Ever. You might not make it back.
Right.
Harv's Island is creepy. Yeah. Like, what are you doing? It's blocked off, so you can't go anywhere but his house.
Yeah.
And then it's like got all this weird like photo state. You never see anybody there. I mean, he's a creepy guy.
Agreed.
But you're going there voluntarily every day.
There's other people there. It's okay.
Okay.
Power in numbers. Yeah.
So on top of Animal Crossing and Ding Dong, you have introduced me to Harry Potter Wizards Unite.
Yay!
Finally.
Woohoo!
A year in the making. I finally got a phone where I can actually play it.
Finally.
I downloaded it. I played a little bit in the house, but then we actually got to go out to the park and play it, and there's a lot to do. There's a lot to soak in as a new player.
You thought we were going to be done in 30 minutes.
Yeah. No.
You thought we were going to collect all the things in 30 minutes.
It's first of all, I just want to say that I'm enjoying it, and I'm enjoying being able to play something with you like that, because we're able to just play together separately, but together, collecting stuff and, doing the little spells and things like that. But then we were able to also play cooperatively in the fortresses where we actually got to defeat enemies together and communicate and stuff, which was really, really cool. I enjoyed that a lot. But I am super overwhelmed in that game.
Yeah.
It's
a lot.
It's like if you're not familiar with Harry Potter Wizards Unite, it's made by the same people who made Pokemon Go. It's the same concept. It runs on the same kind of engine, I guess, where you can walk around and tap things and go to like real world places. But there's all these different emblems of different colors, and you have a level, and then you have all these different ranks, and if you do collect so many, you're just constantly ranking up and like finding fragments and finding all these things to where it's like you don't even know how to compartmentalize what you're doing. You're just, I'm going to do everything, and then I'm going to enjoy the fireworks as I rank up all the random stuff later. That's how I'm approaching it, at least.
Yeah.
Is that kind of what you do? Like now you told me you kind of are specifically looking for different colored things, right?
Right.
Like in your mind, it makes sense.
Yeah.
In my mind, it does not.
Well, it's a lot. It really is a lot. So whenever I first started playing, I guess like the first couple months, there was no events. So you didn't have to worry about like specialty items, specialty port keys, like looking for specific things. It was just collecting the foundables of the various ways to rank up, like the different houses. You know, there's an area for Magizoology and Secrets of Hogwarts and Dark Arts and things like that. And all those are all things that you can rank up and collect. And then once you collect everything you need to, that's when you can prestige your items and then kind of start over. But the events definitely add a lot more to it. And so I can see why it feels overwhelming all at the beginning. For sure. I definitely understand that.
Because they're doing the 1-year anniversary events right now.
Yes.
And that just, adds to the over bombardment of things.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah. But I feel like there's always something to try to do in that game. There's never a time for you to be like, well, I don't have anything to do.
Which is the 100% the best design philosophy for free-to-play games.
Yeah.
Like, the best free-to-play games that I've played, they give you way too much to do. So there's always something to level up in. There's always some type of achievement to get. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, you're just going to turn it off because you're bored or have nothing to do. That's not how to keep you engaged. So that you buy stuff. How much have you spent on the game?
Like $3.
That's in a year?
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Well, and it was because of a specific event. So one thing that we kind of talked about that they've changed, they used to cap off your spell energy. And then you could only max at 75. So at any given time, you could only do 75 spells without like recharging. And now they let you pick up spell energy all the time.
But so you can't just pick it up off the ground. If you're over 75,
you can't pick it up off the ground, but
you can still get it by other means.
Yes. And so, like, I remember during one particular event, I was trying to collect these dragon eggs, and it was really imperative that I finish this. It was down to, like, the final hours, and I was like, I have to do all the things, because there's 4 levels during an event of categories to complete. There's usually, like, 3 to 4 tasks you have to do between each level. I had never gotten to the 4th level of tasks, and so I just really wanted to accomplish something. That was one of the things, was I was running out of spell energy, so I purchased spell energy. I just really needed it.
There's no shame. If you're enjoying a game and it's free to play,
I know,
it's okay to put money into it as long as it doesn't become a sickness.
Yeah. I remember specifically before I went on that particular outing, you were like, don't spend money.
Yeah,
I was like, well, I won't.
Yeah, especially if you're putting like hours into it, tens of hours which you've put quite a bit of time into it. Like,
yeah.
I feel like it's okay to reward the people who made that game with money because they're giving you something for free. Like I did that with Asphalt 9, Warframe. I've done it with several games. I'll pay sometimes just to give them money. It's like I don't even need or want anything, but they provided me with such a good experience for a free to play game. There's definitely a lot of cool stuff. What do you enjoy most about it?
All the things.
Like what?
I like seeing certain aspects of the world come to life, in a different kind of way. Like all of the foundables kind of manifesting in their...
What is a foundable?
It's the icons that you see when you're walking around on your screen. Those are foundables that you can click on. It's essentially a dark spell called the Calamity, and it is releasing all of the magical items that are supposed to be hidden in the wizarding world. They're releasing all of them into the Muggle world. So we are playing wizards who are trying to go collect the foundables.
So all those things that I'm like casting spells on that I find, those are foundables?
That are in the Muggle world, and you're trying to return to the wizarding world.
I got you. So the Muggles don't find out about us?
Right.
If it was not Harry Potter, you probably wouldn't be interested. But because it's Harry Potter, you're all in.
All in.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. But I like getting to rank up my profession and that kind of stuff too.
What's your profession?
I'm a professor.
And what do they have, like certain perks, right?
Mm-hmm.
About like against what? Do you remember? Like what I think when I read it, because I just chose my profession.
Yeah, it's
and
been
I think
a long
it was
time.
Yeah, you were saying a year ago. I think it said that the professors were like well-rounded. They were good at kind of everything, so they're like more of like the standard. That's kind of what you choose if you don't want to specialize in something, but they do have things they specialize in. I just can't remember what it was. I chose a Magizoologist because it said that they are more likely to buff and debuff and help their teammates. And that's definitely the roles that I typically like to play in RPGs. Because essentially, this is an RPG. You're leveling up your characters, you're going through skill trees, you're building up your character how you want. That's just an AR RPG, augmented reality RPG.
Yeah.
Like Pokemon Go. You're going to play Pokemon Go with me now that I played this with you?
Sure.
Really?
Well, we played that one time.
Yeah, but not really.
Okay.
We could really play. Very similar. Similar but different for sure.
I have, obviously different motivations for playing the Harry Potter one. I just love the Harry Potter world in general, but yeah, I'll play Pokemon Go.
Sweet. And what else have we been doing?
Okay. Well, you introduced me to Borderlands.
Borderlands! Yeah, it came out on the Switch very recently. She said she wanted to play it. She was dying to play it, so I bought it. And so I got it, and we played it, and you hated it.
I hated my performance in it.
And we talked about that last time. You were not happy with it. So there's a couple things that we were going to kind of do this week. One of the things I wanted to do was like play some games that had a little bit more visual flair, something that wasn't like as photorealistic, because we talked about the different types of like graphical styles. So I feel like we did that with this game that we really played this week, and it's also a game that allows you to get better at the first person shooter mechanics, even though it's not a shooter, and that's The Witness, which we're playing on Xbox One. I went to Reddit and I said, hey, my wife is kind of having trouble grasping the controls of first person shooters. What do you guys recommend? And there's a lot of Minecraft. Some people recommended Borderlands, and I'm like, no, I don't think you understand. What?
I don't think you understand how inept she is.
No, it's a very blank canvas for gaming, especially using the sticks and playing in 3D planes. So, I chose The Witness. And if you're not familiar with The Witness, it's a game by the same guy who made Braid on the Xbox 360, Jonathan Blow, I think that's his name. So if you're familiar with Braid, it's like a 2D puzzle game that use time quite a bit. This is also a puzzle game, but it's in this really, really beautiful first-person world. So you're using first-person controls, and it's kind of abstract in nature because it doesn't really give you a whole lot of direction of where to go, but placed throughout the world are these panels where you can walk up to and complete a very simple like line puzzle. But it's really weird. You don't ever know where to go next, and it's just all about exploring this really cool looking world. So I'm gonna let you talk about your experience with that, and if you feel like it's helping you become better at the controls.
I mean, it's gorgeous to look at. It's one of those games like I would love to step through the screen and be there and just walk around and...
So like describe it. Like what is it? Because I've said it's beautiful and gorgeous, but that doesn't really mean anything unless... So
you can tell that it used to be a very functional, beautiful city, like kind of on the cliffside of a, ocean or something like that. All the structures are kind of broken. There's, flowers and weeds growing around in places they shouldn't be.
Right. Like wilderness has overtaken.
Yes.
And there's no other people running around.
Right.
Or anything like that.
Yeah.
But
there are pathways, there
right.
are really pretty structures, things like that. And there's a lot of electric wires that part of, like when you complete a puzzle, the wire will light up and lead you to something else. So
it's kind of like a guide to where you need to go next sometimes.
Yes.
But graphically, it's not photorealistic. It doesn't look real, right?
It looks more like a painting to me.
Yeah, like a watercolor painting,
yes.
kind of, or something similar to that.
But not like super abstract,
no.
Just, like a painting.
Like I'm trying to think of something like another game that reminds me of that graphical style, and it's kind of hard to.
There's been a lot of moments where you and I both just looked at the screen and been like, wow, that's so pretty. that panorama view is just so pretty.
Yeah, you find a good like vantage point and you just go up to the top and look around, and I think Legend of Zelda Wind Waker, that's what it looks like to me. Like the water, it's like cartoony but not, like you said, a painting. I just can't, I don't know any famous paintings or famous artists that I like.
I don't either.
Because it's not like Starry Night or something like that. It's
right.
It's not abstract like you said. But yeah, it's so pretty.
Are
you getting better with the first person shooter controls?
I think I am.
Yeah, I think you are too.
Yeah, there was a moment where I was actually successful at running and looking around.
Yeah.
And you didn't.
I remember.
You didn't. I know. You didn't say the words, but you made like this noise. And then I looked over and you're smiling really big. And you didn't say it, but what I like read from your face was, "I've never loved you more."
Well, I think you were either going downstairs or around a pathway or something like that. But you were able to run and then turn with the right stick. And like, it looked just like flawless. It was so good because that's the thing. It's just you've struggled with.
Yes, that has previously been impossible for me.
Yeah.
I can run. I can look down at my feet. I can look straight up at the sky.
Yeah, you nailed that.
I'm so good at that. It's really hard for me to just look side to side. But it's definitely helping. It's helping that I have the practice without the fear of dying.
Right.
Like in Borderlands.
Yeah.
In Borderlands, I was constantly being attacked before I could even just like stop and look around.
Yeah, are you anxious to go back to Borderlands? Because that's what this is all leading back to. I hope you know.
I understand. Yes, I do. I just want to be proficient enough to where I don't immediately die.
Yeah.
There was one day I was trying to do like my quote unquote homework of Borderlands. I'm not joking. I died 10 times in a row. And I probably was like 5 feet away from the last spot that I died in the game just because, I mean, that's where I was regenerating, you know? Right. It was very frustrating for me.
Yeah, and that's the last thing I want to do is like make you have an aversion, especially to a whole genre because of your experience with one game. That's why I want to just be like, okay, let's just stop and go another route. Yeah. Which is The Witness. I think as you get better at that, some other people on Reddit, they actually recommended to do a third-person game, not necessarily a shooter, but a game where you control somebody from behind the back, because then you're able to actually see what the character is doing, and that may improve your relation from the character to the camera. Because the only difference between a third-person game and a first-person game is where the perspective is. Otherwise, it's typically exactly the same. So I have a plan to do that as well. Find a couple good ones.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the plan moving forward. But we're going to keep playing Witness, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Because we played last night, and my moving around so fast made you motion sick. Or
not motion
something.
Sick. I had a headache. I am reluctant to call it a migraine, but I think it was a migraine. It just came on like so suddenly and was debilitating in the way that I couldn't look at light or even be upright without like sweating and just having this pounding headache. So laid down, took a nap, felt better when I woke up. And then when we turned that game on, you started first moving around, and I don't know if it was just you were going so fast. You mentioned before, whenever you're holding the controller and you're doing the movements, that you know where you're going, so your brain kind of compensates for that. But I don't know what you're about to do. Yeah. So when you're whipping around and stuff, like, I feel like my eyes are having to work a little harder. And just watching you for a few minutes brought my headache right back. So
that's happened to me in the past too. Especially if you are not used to first-person perspective games, watching somebody else play quickly, it can cause you to have that simulation sickness. It's like almost like a headache or like an underlying kind of nausea type thing that's going on. That's happened to me sometimes too. Sometimes when I actually played some games that were like originally 2-dimensional old school games that they brought into like high res 3 dimensions, and I played it, I would feel that way a little bit too. It's also one of the reasons that first person games are not popular in Japan.
Really?
For whatever reason. Just like there's a lot of Japanese people who are more susceptible to have like epilepsy. Do you remember that? Like back when Pokemon.
What?
Yeah, there's a big old thing. So tons of people like went into seizures watching Pokemon.
Really?
Yeah. This is like the animated show. I think it was the late 90s when that happened, early 2000s. I don't know, but also because first person games aren't so embedded in the culture there as they are here. A lot of the first person stuff was either like European or American made to begin with. Those games did not for the longest time sell well in Japan, and one of the main complaints was headaches and motion sickness.
Wow.
Just like what sometimes I get it from playing the 3D games.
Huh.
So it really is just exposure. The more you're exposed to it, the more your brain can kind of be cool with it. But I can definitely get, like, I move around pretty fast. Like, I'm not smooth with my movements. It's just like real life. Tell you the truth.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
So I'm not super deliberate, especially when I'm playing first-person games.
I've had to have a conversation a couple times with Evie of like, don't stand very close to Sam, like especially in the kitchen.
I move fast, man.
You move very fast.
Yeah, and I do that in games too. So, so I'm sorry about that. I'll let you start next time.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's definitely a game that I want to keep playing. I would still want the practice of getting to understand the controller and how to operate it. But I think had I just tried to do that by myself, I would have quit a long time ago.
Yeah.
There are some puzzles that are difficult to do on your own.
Stupid hard.
And I find it interesting that there's been several where we needed both of our brains to see it.
Yeah. For sure. That's the perfect game to play with somebody, honestly. Yeah, because there's been times where you got frustrated, you just handed me the controller, and then I was able to complete the puzzle from them. There's some where I just looked at the puzzle, and like you had to remember the previous puzzle that you did and how the lines lined up, and I was just like, I'm not even going to try that on my own. We can kind of like team up on it.
I felt really good about that one last night that we did, and you...
Oh, yeah.
So it's... How do you describe that? It's a grid puzzle.
It's a grid-based puzzle. You control a line, and you're trying to go through the different lines on the grids as it allows. Sometimes collecting little pickups as well. Very rudimentary styled. But then sometimes as you're controlling one line, there's another line contralateral on the other side doing the opposite or same thing that line is doing, and you're having to manipulate both to get... It's just, this probably sounds really complicated as I'm speaking it.
But what you're saying makes a lot of sense since I can see it in my head. Like, you're explaining it well. But that particular one was all of what you just said.
Yeah.
And the second line was invisible.
Yeah.
So you have to guess, no, I guess not guess, but you have to deduce where the other line is and how it's working. And so you were going a particular way, like I, suggested you going a particular way. You finished it out, and then you said, I don't think that's right. And I was like, but maybe just try it.
Yeah, I was like, there's no way that's right. And I hit A, and like, oh, it worked.
And then it was right.
Yeah. Can I also say how, like, you said deduced, and, like, we've been watching a lot of Sherlock Holmes on Netflix. I just had, like, you were Sherlock, I was John Watson moment. Anyways, that's a really good show if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, the Benedict Cumberbatch, Martin Freeman one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, shit, not Sherlock Holmes, Sherlock.
Sherlock.
Yeah. My bad. So what's on the game plan this week? What are we going to play?
I don't know.
Are you ready to try Borderlands yet, or no?
No.
We're a ways off from that. Because here's my plan. We're tackling...
Is there a plan?
There is a plan. It's in there somewhere.
Are you telling me there's something after Borderlands?
No. So, like, we got to get you good at the first-person controls. Like, once you're good at that...
I got to get good.
Get good. You're getting better, for sure. So, my plan is we continue that, but I want to expose you to different genres. That's the way this podcast is headed, you know what I'm saying? So I want to expose you to some fighting games. I want to expose you to some RPGs. And we can kind of break it down genre by genre, and you can kind of grow in that way so you have exposure. You'll still be the noob. You'll just have more information as the noob, you know what I'm saying?
I'm going to get replaced soon, huh?
No, trust me, we got a ways to go. I don't mean that in condescending way. It's just, you put in like 10% of what I put in gaming. Maybe less than that. You know what I'm saying? Like overall. So, there's a lot of different genres. There's a lot of different like styles of games. We can play platformers from the 90s, which are completely different from platformers in 3D today, that kind of stuff. So what I really want to do is play a few fighting games with you. Can you name any fighting games?
No.
Try.
Call of Duty. I don't know.
No, that's a shooter. That's a first-person shooter.
Cool. I don't know.
Okay, Street Fighter, right?
Okay.
You're familiar with that somewhat, right?
It's the one you had a song about.
You've seen me and Nice Crispy play.
Yes.
Numerous times. Okay, so that's a fighting game. You're just taking 2 or sometimes, up to 4.
Like Streets of Rage?
Okay, that's different.
Oh.
We've played that together, which that would be called a beat 'em up, okay, or a brawler. Depends on who you ask. I call that a beat 'em up. That's typically a game where you have 2 or 3 people and you're just scrolling through a level beating up enemies. You're beating them up.
But that's not considered a fighting game?
No, a fighting game is usually...
But you see the irony there, right?
I don't... Yeah, so you are fighting. That's like the main mechanic of the game. But when somebody says like a fighting game, they typically mean it's a game where you control a character, I control a character, and we fight each other.
Okay.
Rather than cooperatively fighting NPCs. Okay. There's also shoot 'em ups. They're really creative with the whole names.
I can tell.
Yeah, so shoot 'em ups are games where you just control a ship and you're just attacking, like on 1944 on the arcade cabinet behind you. There's RPGs, right? Role-playing games. You have, but in between that, you have Japanese role-playing games and Western role-playing games. You have 3D action platformers. You have action-adventure games. There's so many genres that we need to go through. But what I want to do is play some fighting games, like Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, etc. Because I think you might actually really enjoy it.
Why?
I don't know. There's something really satisfying about virtually beating another person. I know that sounds bad, but there's like, especially if you can figure out a rhythm, like find your character.
Yeah.
Like, remember when you wore that mask and then somebody at work, told you look like a Mortal Kombat character,
Yeah.
But like finding that character and kind of figuring out their nuances and then putting time into that character so that you can get good at them. Like I play as Ken on Street Fighter and I know all of his moves like by heart pretty much. Like I don't even have to really think too hard. It's just an extension of my like thumbs and brain. It just makes things happen. So there's something really, really rewarding and satisfying like when you play a fighting game. And I'm curious if you would enjoy it. We're going to play several different ones this week.
This week?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
It's not going to be much. We're just going to play Street Fighter, Killer Instinct, Mortal Kombat, Smash Brothers. No, I'm just kidding.
Stop it.
But I do want to like give you a wide variety and see what you prefer, because some are vastly different than others within that genre.
In what way?
So you have a game like Smash Brothers, which is technically a fighting game. You have the whole arena to jump around and to use these pretty easy to pull off moves, but obviously they're easy to pull off, hard to master type things. Then you have a game like Mortal Kombat, which is what they call like dial a combo. Like you have to have an intricate knowledge of like, okay, forward X, up X, down X, jump, back B, R trigger. Like that is like boom, 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 boom. You have to dial in and memorize the combos until they become like second nature for you. And then you have a game like Street Fighter, which doesn't rely that much on combos, but you have all these moves that you can perform and combo together. You know what I'm saying? So there's quite a bit of difference. There's also some games that literally you press one button. We're gonna try it. We're gonna start with that one.
Why?
just for the sake of yeah.
Me not quitting?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah. But I'm pretty excited. There's 3D fighting games. There's 2D fighting games. We'll have a lot of fighting games. It used to be one of my number one favorite not franchises, but genres. And that's the plan. Okay then. Well, I guess that's it for this episode. Until next time, happy hunting, everybody.